Is there a future for dating things in VR? Is that, how do you see that?
Actually, I've seen a few videos when people are doing like first dates in VR, which is kind of cool because you don't like, it's not sitting in a restaurant and like, you know, what we're gonna do. You go into a VR escape room with the girl and then you're like, have a mission on space and it's a lot more fun. And then when you step out of it, it feels like an ocean of like experience happened. A lot more than just sitting down in a restaurant.
And you, with your experience at Grindr, do you see any added value for VR in that space?
There's the big discussion as to whether technology is separating and connecting us, right?
Okay,
and I think one of Grindr's biggest missions, and sort of how all dating apps are sort of negatively incentivized, like you actually want your customers to meet someone such that they don't need your product anymore. So it's strange, like on one hand, would I love to create more connections, even if it's virtual? Yes. On the other hand, you want people to really meet in the real world whenever possible. So I guess it's an and, not a but it's a tough balance when you think about things like Grindr.
And that's what we do with our products too. We want to connect people, but if you're not, how do you call it, in a situation or a time and space where you can actually get together, you might be physically separated. You're in Tokyo, you're in Berlin, but you still want to have people, give them the option to make love to each other. So and then I read in all these reviews about our products. Yeah, these people are now letting you fuck robots, and they'll lock themselves in the rooms. They'll never get out. And like that. That's not the way we intended it.
Yeah.
No, it's also not like that though, because sometimes, you know, like if you have to take that step to meet someone in real life, like maybe you don't like the person that you're actually meeting. So why not try to meet them online first, get to know them, have a Skype call, feel what it's like to kind of fuck them, you know. But it also this is one thing that we always talk about is boundaries and like the safety issues that you have with meeting somebody offline. So it's I don't know, you said that you have some good and bad stories.
Huge issue as far as safety and meeting in real life. And
So VR could help with that. VR could be a filter. Take the danger out, get comfortable.
One of the things I joined Grindr for was to work on authenticity and fishing out how we'd reduce spam. So that's both, you know, a bot that's a human who's credit card phishing, or it's a human who's, you know, human phishing and trying to actually do you physical harm, and figuring out different ways you could use algorithms and patterns, etc., to reduce that type of activity. Video chatting was one thing that we thought about as far as, you know, increasing the safety, or at least giving someone else an option to have another moment of connection
without
before
exchanging numbers too.
Exactly.
Like giving your people judging skills a platform or something.
100%. And I could see where VR would even take that in another direction. And
like an all-in-app solution.
Sure.
Would it make it? How I don't understand the buyer's journey for dating apps, because I already found my wife before the whole thing came up. So as a newbie, how would putting a headset on your face interfere with the spontaneity of finding somebody on a dating app? Is that a step too much, or is that something that would be normal? Or do you have to wait until VR is normal? Or how does this go?
This is a strange way to answer your question, but I was talking to someone recently and they said it actually felt weird being out in a bar, out in public, and coming up to someone to hit on them, because it felt like a violation of their personal space and a violation of their time, because dating has become so
new protocol
and encapsulated in my swiping and in my phone time, and it's almost like you're out and you're not thinking about that, right? So I guess I say that to say, counterintuitively, I think it might actually make sense and be going in the direction that dating is, because it actually is more of a specific task and thing that you sit down and do, as opposed to meeting someone in a coffee shop or, you know, like meeting people at work. There's a huge, didn't we just see some meme recently about like how disgusting it is to date? South Park.
Meeting people at your work, it's like so not PC, and you're not supposed to have anything.
Not cool anymore. So, you know, it's like, oh, you're dating a coworker? That's so, like, you don't shit where you eat, they say, right?
If you ask somebody for a drink, they'll shout HR.
Exactly. so I actually think it does, at least it aligns with the trend of more separation between your day-to-day life and actually dating being, you know, a separate task.
I also think it's like, where do we navigate the conversation? for example, let's say the coworker, right? So it's like we're being like very PC front. But if I see him on Grindr and he's right next to me, and I can like, even if I'm just saying hi over there, it knows what are my intentions, what's happening, and it's just like
kind of you know what this is.
You know what it is. Like, come on, like, and sometimes, you know, I would like start a conversation with specific people on Grindr because like instead of like just emailing like on Facebook or whatever, and it just shows what it is.
I'd make a pitch for AR and dating over VR.
Yeah,
I think. Like, give me glasses or give me even before Grindr, I always thought it would be great if I just had this little like vibrating Tamagotchi thing in my pocket that would tell me when someone was close by that met certain criteria, and then I could
like
just
misconnections, right? There used to be an app like that. Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about. But even like imagine the AR application of that, you know, like all of a sudden a little highlight pops over someone who's like 6 foot tall, dark hair, Israeli, sexy voice,
I wonder who you're talking
creative,
about.
like, and you're like, oh,
it's like, damn it, that's 20 inch taller than I am.
But you still had it. I mean, Grindr, we met on Grindr.
Sure, but like make that more immersive, I guess is my point. Like, what does it look like for Grindr to be an immersive experience? I think is what you were asking. VR, honestly, I don't know
VR
if
may
that's
not
right.
be the thing, but AR is definitely
feels far more spot on. For
Which interesting, AR is expected to be a lot bigger than VR as a market.
So a company that we work with, they first used our toys, so you could connect it with the webcam models, Camsoda. And then they moved into this thing called like
Hologlass,
where you could get a mask where you could actually smell like the vagina smell and everything. And I was like, that is pretty intense. Like. I don't think it took off. I think it was maybe like a marketing, a marketing campaign or something.
How do
you consider the haptics and the olfactory stuff? Do you consider that part of AR, or is AR normally just thought of as visual overlay on top of it?
It's augmented reality.
So augmented any way you want, right?
Works there, like auditive layers. I think everything goes into
if you
AR.
incorporate the touch, the smell, and the feel. I guess
there's this episode of Black Mirror where they put AR software in the spine of a soldier, and then he can't smell the gore of combat anymore. So it's easier for him to commit atrocities because the whole olfactory is taken out. So like that could be AR too, like adding it or subtracting it. Maybe if killing smelled like roses, everybody would be the perfect soldier, right? So that I think
Black
people
Mirror
are thinking
is
about
dark.
this.
I think that in terms of like where the filmmaking things of elements in porn in 360, we see the camera position in a way that you're like, you see a hot body.
I love it when I have that male six pack when I put on VR goggles.
So how do you feel about that, right? Because
like, damn, like I wish my body looked like that down there. It's like I got a big dick.
It takes you out. There is that little moment of like your brain was like, wait a second, what is happening? And you get to like value things differently. I also think, so I worked on a VR experience that was in jail. And after working on it so much, I really felt like I was there. Like for my mind, like being there physically and being there like in virtual reality didn't feel a difference. So it can be interesting, you know, you can capture different experiences that you would not be in a different situation, and can give you a little bit of a taste to it, but you know, it's in virtual reality, so no one gets hurt. You're not really dealing with the circumstances of like, I mean, I haven't.
But it can be a bit emotional, an experience like that. And if an experience plays on your emotions, then if somebody abuses that situation, they play with your emotions again, right? The minute you're immersed, then something happens.
It's a tool. VR is a tool, just like a knife, just like anything else. You can make a meal with a knife. You can murder someone. It's all about how you're using it. Same with, you were asked about data, like how do you like it? You can connect people with the dating apps. We can make dating feel so like meat market. It's what do we do with the tools? As
a creative in VR, what would be a measure you could take to make harassment be a smaller part of what could go wrong with it? What walls
I
would
can
you build
control what I can control, meaning what I am creating. So what I'm creating is fantasy lands, is fun, is flowy, it's giggly. A lot of what you see like on Reddit, like if you would go to the virtual reality subgroup, what's popping mostly is first shooter. It's shooting. It's army. It's like this is what's happening. And I'm not saying this is wrong. It is what it is. People will get whatever they ask for, and this is what if I want to shoot things in VR. There's enough to it, but what I will develop and what I will do, it will be a lot more Fantasyland and imagination promoting than violent stuff, because this is just generally what I'm attracted to. Even in the horror film, it was so hard for me to I showed like the script to my producer, and she's like, this is great, but we need to kill a character. Like some a little bit of a, so we got a little bloody.
But do you think that being in a virtual reality like simulated environment influences people in the real world? Like if you're talking about like first person shooter games and things like that, do you think that people I don't know, I guess everybody's different, but I
think that our brain is still not like, you understand that it's in VR, but you feel like it's that you're experiencing it. So you can completely, and we will get to that stage that we have a completely different life within virtual reality. It will all be virtual, and it will feel completely real, more real maybe to the real reality to some people.
Because it's a conflict that we have quite often when people ask, like, could you get stuck in this virtual world, or would your mind get stuck in this fake area of what you're doing, this new dimension. And so about 3 or 4 years ago, our company, in conjunction with Bedoink VR, which is an American company, but they shoot porn in Spain.
Cyprus.
And a sex therapist devised almost 1 hour long sex therapy video in virtual reality using our devices, because sex therapists believe that virtual reality will help get people out of their impotence or their stage fright, or help you overcome this.
Enable you to do things in a real space.
Exactly, enable you to do things in a real space. So it's it's quite scary when I hear that you can go and shoot people in VR.
This is what happens. That's what happens first. First shooters.
I thought it's porn and then shooting.
They come together. In VR right now, shooting is more evolved than porn for sure.
Yeah.